Welcome to the Twin Fusion Show. My name is Christy Peters, and this is my sister,
Kathy Davis.
And we're identical twins, and we come every week and talk about local, weekly topics and things that are of interest in the news and that sort of stuff. Today we're going to talk about the riots that happened in Berkeley and some of the rioting that's been going on because of President Trump's executive order on immigration vetting. But first we want to talk about what happened in Berkeley last week. Milo Yiannopoulos, who most of you know is a radical conservative speaker, flaming homosexual, very funny, very intelligent, and he was doing a lecture, but he's very anti-Muslim because he grew up in England, where the Muslims have a very large part of the population, and they're very. He's seen the violence that they do and the violence they do towards homosexuals, women, things like that. So he doesn't have a message of just that radical Islamists have evil intent, but that Islam in general is a violent and discriminatory religion. So people don't like him very well, especially people on the progressive left. And so what we saw in Berkeley was a large riot that was produced not by the students but by some outer fringe groups, probably organized by the professors, the liberal professors there, because there were a lot of professors involved in the rioting. But the main group of the rioters came from Tucson, Arizona, and they were funded by George Soros. So most of the people that did the real violence towards the students that were there, one girl got pepper sprayed. She was just standing in line waiting to see Milo, and she got pepper sprayed by one of the rioters. And there was other violence too. They hit them. They hit the students that were waiting to see him, and things like that. And broke windows, burned down, lighting generators and things like that. I mean, it was really violent. And the police were told to stand down from that whole incident. And that's kind of been going on with all the riots that have been going on. The police have been told to stand down and not to do anything about it. So, Kathy, what are some of the things that you saw during the rioting, like maybe during the ones at the airport and the Women's March and things like? Well, the Women's March wasn't really a riot, but what are some of the things that you've seen going on?
To add to what you said, it really, you see, they took these leftists. They all talk about love, but all you see is hate. You see vehement hatred. You see violence. You see, horrible stuff. What the rhetoric doesn't match their behavior.
Right.
So they're using violent means because their narrative has been rejected by the masses of the United States. So the left's narrative, they don't have a voice anymore. Their argument was shot down, and so they don't have an argument. So now all they've got is violence and slander and cursing and name calling, and that's all they got.
Yeah.
So that's just what I want to say. This is just a kind of an outflow of that. That's all they got left is violence. They lost the argument.
That's their
so
voice.
They don't have anything else.
Yeah. That's their voice. Yeah, they all call themselves anti-fascist groups, when actually you and I both know what they do way more resembles what the fascist credos are than what Donald Trump's presidency does. It models it way more. I want you to talk a little bit about what exactly fascism is and what that looks like, and maybe how the progressive agenda looks like that.
Yeah, well, fascism is, the fascist model is like complete and utter centralized control of everything in a country. It's extreme centralized power, political power, extreme, so they have a monarch at the top or a dictator typically, and a very controlled elite that surrounds them, oligarchy, whatever. They control the finances of a country. They control all the means of production. They control people's speech. They control what they wear. They control what they can say. So just like 1984, they have that newspeak. We've seen that with Hugo Chavez in Argentina. Yeah, we see it in communist China. I mean, they're trying to do it here. I mean, the progressives here have been trying to put in those fascist models, the fascist programs, but because of our checks and balances in our system, they're really not able to do it. So the far left are fascist. The extreme far right are fascists, and they're working in league against the libertarian middle people, the people of the country, Main Street.
Well, fascism in general is anti-communism, anti-socialism, anti-democracy, anti-conservatism. It's anti-everything.
It's absolute control. It's absolute control of everything.
It's definitely anti-democracy. One thing that all my friends from Venezuela who lived there when Chavez was being voted in, he actually got voted in a legal election. He promised everything that a populist leader wants to hear, or that he can't. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to get rid of the bigger airplanes and build the smaller ones. I'm going to do, the populist actually, the same thing that Donald Trump ran on, really. But at the end of the day, after Chavez got in, he did exactly the opposite. He, brought in all this cronyism. He just spent all this money on himself. Deep pocketed all of the money that was part of the government. But one thing they didn't see was that Chavez, before he even ran, spent a lot of time in Cuba with Castro, and he spent a lot of time with the guerrillas in Colombia. So they didn't look at what he had done before before they voted for him. They just went on what he said. But when we look at Donald Trump, the man is actually doing what he promised to do. He had the same populist rhetoric that these fascist, communist, socialists have, but he's actually acting on the will of the people rather than deep pocketing all the money. He's anti-corruption and is actually going against the corruption. So I want you to talk a little bit about the communist, ideologies, maybe how, all these other rulers that what they do, they use a populist, or even the fascists use a populist, they call it selective populism, to get their leaders in, but then there's a problem when that happens. So if you look at the progressive left, like Obama and Hillary, what's their background, and how could we have red flagged from what their rhetoric said and what their actual background is and the people they associated with?
Well, you've got that list of Saul Alinsky. Now, we know that Hillary, Saul Alinsky was one of her heroes. She really looked up to him and kind of, took her under his wing and trained her. He's a known communist terrorist, now a university professor at the University of Chicago, or was. And Obama Saul Alinsky started Obama's senatorial campaign in his own home. So we know that those two are completely aligned with him. Now you kind of have a list of what Saul Alinsky did. Why don't you give the people that, because that's straight from the Communist Party handbook.
Okay.
So you have that list.
Okay, this is Saul Alinsky's doctrine. It's 8 steps to topple a nation and create a socialist state. So the first thing is healthcare. He said you have to control the healthcare, and then you can control the people. The second of the 8 steps is poverty. He said increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you're providing everything for them to live. Number 3 is debt. Increase the debt to an unsustainable level. That way you are able to increase taxes, and this will produce more poverty. Now we saw that with Obama, let's keep going. Gun control. It says remove the ability for people to defend themselves from the government. That way you are able to create a police state. Welfare. Take control of every aspect of their lives, food, housing, and income. Education. Take control of what people read and listen to and what they're told. Take control of what children learn in school. Religion. Remove the belief in God from the government and schools. 8. Class warfare. Divide the people into wealthy and poor. This causes more discontent, and it will be easier to take taxes from the wealthy with the support of the poor. We can also say, racial warfare is another thing that we see, that they're just dividing the people.
Any divide and conquer.
So Kathy, talk a little bit about Obama and some of these, and the Bushes, and some of these directives.
Well, yeah, we know. We just see in Obama's administration. You talk about 16 trillion in debt. Okay, so he's run the debt up worse than anybody. The poverty and the joblessness in our inner cities and in our cities, demolished. All of the illegals coming in and undercutting wages and taking all the jobs is demoralizing, especially the African American community, where the jobless rate was high anyway, and then these low-wage workers are coming in and taking all these jobs away from all these kids and from some of the unskilled labor. So that demoralized everybody. They just opened the border so that they could just flood in. So that was demoralizing. And Obama himself was what they call the community organizer, which is basically a community agitator. And that's kind of right out of the communist playbook too, because Acorn, they came in and tried to set up the healthcare and the social welfare system for all these poor people. But they also had a first-time home buyers program. And so they set up all these people with these predatory lenders, and these people just, bought these new houses, and then with balloon mortgages, and then once everything came to roost, they couldn't afford the mortgage, and they lost it. The bank, of course, got it back and made a mint off of it. So it's like, they were just the Acorn, who Obama worked for as the community organizer, and we call them community agitators, really, were the ones that were installing the communist objectives into the inner city and the poor communities. It's largely in Chicago and some of the big networks. Now, you saw that they had pretty much closed down by 2010 because of all the scandals that were coming up, right?
Yeah. So Obama, that was his background, working as a communist, basically, community organizer. But the platform he ran on was, hope and change and economic growth and things like that, and capitalism, basically capitalist principles. Just like Chavez. But that's who he was. And so if you look at who they partner with, Obama partnered with Saul Alinsky.
George
Soros. Hillary said that Saul Alinsky was her hero. And Saul Alinsky said it at the beginning of one of his books. He gave credit to Lucifer. He said, I dedicate this book to Lucifer, who's one of the great rebels or anarchists or something like that.
Yeah.
So the guy. So we know communism is extreme socialism is sort of satanic, but because it's a control of a few over many, and so Hillary liked Alinsky, and he did. The Bushes did some of the same things to get us into a communist socialist, upheaval. One thing they did
was... they worked more on the state control aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like the state control. They didn't overtly, come out and do all these programs, but after 9/11...
They consolidated. They consolidated power.
The consolidated power. The Patriot Act was the biggest power grab of any legislation ever, to take away our freedoms, to monitor us, to completely give rise to, should there be a military state, they're going to take everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the biggest power grab of anybody for any government, and that was the Bushes.
But also what Bush Jr. did was with the bank bailouts, that put us in incredible debt. We were bailing out these criminal banksters that were, creating
bad debt.
Yeah, creating bad debt, doing derivatives and things like that, and the mortgage and loan thing. And they bailed them out, and they were the ones that were they were criminals, never got tried for it, went on with their high-powered prostitutes and, whatever. They kept their lifestyle exactly intact, and we bailed them out, and it became a national debt. So that was something.
That's when the housing market crashed. That's when the downward spiral for the U.S. where and then with all the influx of the illegals, open borders and everything else, and the visas where you let all these foreign workers come in and take all our tech jobs, where they pay them a third of what they're paying U.S. workers. And Trump is stopping all that.
Yeah.
Trump is stopping all that. He is stopping it dead in its tracks. So he's not trying to impoverish the people. He's trying to get rid of the big state and not make the government stronger. He's totally against statism. He's the complete antithesis of anything fascist that there ever was.
Yeah.
Now, Christie has some problems with him doing so many executive orders, because that is sort of a, dictatorial kind of behavior. But he's been a CEO of his own company, so it's just a learning curve, we think, for him.
I would prefer to see him work more with Congress on legal stuff rather than write executive orders. Like presidents in the last 30, 50 years have gotten so accustomed to doing.
Well, I think he's just trying to overturn what Obama's been doing, in the first 100 days. I think after the first 100 days, it's going to, get more into the, legislative aspect of it. And they're already writing legislation for a lot of stuff, so, and have been.
Yeah, I think the thing about vetting, the executive order on vetting the people coming in would have maybe been better if it hadn't been an executive order but came through in a different way, came through Congress or some other channel that was a little more democratic. I think it would have, he would have been able to back it up and say, listen, it went through Congress and it passed, and so you can't just blame me. That's what I would have done.
Well, I think all the countries were ones that Obama already had on the list.
Right.
It wasn't like he was making this list.
No, you can make. We've made these arguments. Sean Spicer makes this argument every day with the press. It's ridiculously redundant, but I'm just saying, short of an executive order, they're saying he's a dictator, he's a fascist, he's going to consolidate the government, take over the government or whatever. But
he's not.
He's not. But I say
he fired 1 million bureaucrats. I mean, he's trying to make it smaller.
Yeah.
Getting rid of regulation, which is what the fascists and the communists want, is complete control and regulation over everything.
Businesses. They control businesses by using regulations, yeah.
He is the one who is the anti-fascist.
Yeah.
And these anti-fascist groups are behaving like fascists.
Yeah.
Not allowing free speech, pushing their agenda through violence. This is all how the fascists behave and how they got into power. Most of them were military coups or coups that would, overthrew power to get them in. They weren't duly elected ever.
Right.
So the anti-fascists are not anti-fascists. They're behaving like fascists.
Yeah.
They're the fascists.
Yeah.
And the extreme right and the extreme left are working toward fascism because they want the complete control of everything because they're working into the satanic one world model.
Yeah. That's why it's another reason why we like Trump. He's more of a libertarian. He's not extreme right or extreme left.
He's not a statist. He's not a statist. He believes in balance of power. He's getting, he's working with Congress. He's trying to, co-opt people that don't think like him, even his enemies.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's just surrounding himself with the S-men.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court justice that he just nominated, basically was, chastising Trump publicly for talking down the judiciary.
Right.
He said, I don't like the way you're talking about the judiciary. You're kind of lowball, you're kind of, talking down to it. So, these guys are talking out. They're saying what they think. They're not just going along with Trump.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't think he expects them to.
Yeah. Trump needs to learn how to, respect the other branches. I think a little better.
Yeah, I think he'll work with it. I think
it would serve him well to do so.
There's permanent things like Obamacare and TPP that had to be cut dead in its tracks.
Yeah,
so
no, I didn't have any problem with that.
The orders for that were fine because those things need to be stopped because those would be the demise of our country if he didn't.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes from here.
Okay. Well, that's good for the show, I think. Kathy, do you want to pray about maybe what's going on in the demise of the groups and the fascists, and just that the truth would come out? And
why don't you pray, Chris?
Okay.
You pray.
All right. Okay, Lord, I just thank you that you are bringing forth truth. I thank you, first of all, that you're helping our president learn this job. You're teaching him how to do a president job a political job, or however you would say it, a public sector job rather than a private sector job. And that you're just going to show him this learning curve and cause him to just move through it quickly. He's an intelligent man. And we just bless that. We bless this learning curve. We just thank you for your grace on him, Lord. We break every curse that the media has spoke over him as he's learning. And that they've diminished the good things that he does and really bring forth the couple mistakes that he's making. And so, Lord, I just thank you for that. I just break every curse that's been spoke over him, and I just speak blessing over him. I just speak your life, your love, your power, your joy, your peace, your rest, and your favor over him, Lord. And that every word that's been spoken to him, Lord, we just pray that it would not attach to his soul, that it would not attach to his body, that it would not cause havoc in his cabinet, and that everything that goes on, Lord, would just be by your Spirit, and that would be by your power, and that he would learn more and more to rely on you. And not rely on his, fighting ways, but Lord, that he'd rely on you to do things for him and give him wisdom on how to do things. And just that you could just make him a truly great president because he relies on you and he depends on you. And so we bless that. Okay, how about you, Kath?
Yeah, I mean, we thank you, Lord, for that. We just agree with that, and we thank you, Lord, that the communist, socialist, fascist elements that have been in the schools and in the universities, that rhetoric and that the teaching and that swaying and pushing that philosophy towards the students will break. We just break the power of that in Jesus' name, and we just thank you, Lord Jesus, that there'll be a new sort of model being modeled in even the public schools and the universities, that wouldn't be the main model and the main focus, or they wouldn't push that philosophy on the kids. Yeah. In Jesus' name. Mm-hmm. I just know my own children. When they from the time they started kindergarten, they started pushing that socialist philosophy on them.
Yeah, they were in public schools.
You know, and they're adults now, but I mean, it took some deprogramming for them to not believe that crap.
Yeah. So, I felt like it was the same with us, though. We grew up in public schools, and I think it was the same even with our generation.
Exactly. I mean, it's with anybody, but I mean, it's worse now.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
worse now, I think.
Yeah,
we'll see. But
okay.
That, I just want that to just kind of get out of the schools, get out of the universities, and really, get out of the culture in general.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching our show. That's about it for today. And we just hope you have a good week, and God bless you all. Thanks for listening.